hello, hello. Or should I say, bonjour, 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 after my weekend in France. And welcome, bienvenue, to the Starting Line podcast with me, Rich Lee. I've just spent a lovely couple of days out in Paris watching the third place playoff. Well done, England, just about. And the final, the incredible final where South Africa beat New Zealand, deservedly, let's be honest. Went over with some school friends, and 20-something years later, it is just as silly and ridiculous being part of that group of friends. We enjoyed the atmosphere, we enjoyed a couple of beers, and looking at my Fitbit, I've done 40,000 steps, which when you compare that to James Cracknell or Calder Wood or Sean Conway or the person we've got coming up next episode, yes, of course it pales in insignificance, but I got chuffed with that, getting on for 20 miles. Anyway, enough about that. Today's episode is with Charlie Mullins OBE. He's the founder of Pimlico Plumbing, based in London, and the self-styled most famous plumber in the world. Charlie was born in 1952 in North London to a working class family. And in his own words, they were very poor, and he remembers going to school with holes in his clothes. He began working from the age of 8 or 9, and that work ethic stuck. He started his company when he was still in his 20s, and he sold it a couple of years ago for £147 million. Pimlico Plumbing had at one point hundreds of recognisable vans driving all around London, and it was turning over £50 million a year. With that level of branding, Charlie's own recognisable appearance, and his controversial, impulsive, he would say straight-talking, approach to many topics, he achieved a level of visibility in the media that few, if any, tradespeople and trade companies have even otherwise gained. Charlie was awarded an OBE in 2015 for services to business, and he's been an advisor to a handful of prime ministers and governments. We talk about a lot of topics, including his upbringing, what kind of father and husband he thinks he was, his recent ban from Twitter, having, in his own words, stepped over the line when speaking about London Mayor Sadiq Khan. We spoke about how that's likely to impact his own mayoral ambitions, how he thinks he wouldn't have said those things if he was in better health at the time, the new business he's creating that's going to rival Pimlico Plumbing, and how he doesn't care that they're quite upset about this new venture, and much, much more. Now, Charlie says some things, both in this conversation and outside of it, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think it's important to be able to sit across the table and have conversations with people we might not always agree with in good faith. I think all too often in 2023, we are seemingly, collectively, almost foaming at the mouth in our want for people to be punished and cancelled. And I air quoted that, you didn't see it. I think it's a dangerous game to play, if I'm honest. And it's a sure way to ensure that the question isn't if something we've done or said comes back to bite us on the backside, but when it comes back to bite us. I'm sure there's a phrase about throwing stones in glass houses that applies, and I'd sooner have a conversation than maintain this polarisation. At the best, I think opinions shift, and at the worst, opinions don't change, and each of you are only more staunch in your belief. This interview was recorded in Charlie's apartment overlooking the River Thames towards the end of October. I've recorded a handful of these intros for this episode. Charlie is, as I say, a controversial figure, and in my hope to interview people, successful people, and find out more about who they are and why they are who they are, and interrogate, investigate some of their thoughts, opinions, beliefs, and see just how those things might make that person just that bit different, just that bit more successful. And I'd hope that you all agree that the guests that we've had on in the last 12 episodes have been varied in terms of success, ambition, and backgrounds. So all that is to be said, all that remains to be said, is, without further ado, I bring to you my conversation with Charlie Mullins OBE. The things I don't know about you, Charlie, are what happened before you got into plumbing. So I know you went to school, and I know that you hated school, and I know that you couldn't wait to leave and get on the tools with your mate. But before that, so where were you born and when were you born?
Yeah, okay. Well, I was born in 1952 in North London, Camden Town, that area, but moved to South London at probably about 11 years of age. First time I went to work was probably about 9 or 10 when I used to bunk off school, and which is quite known out there, and go and help this local plumber. And undoubtedly, that was my starting point. I was so impressed with him. You know, he had money, jewellery, house, lovely clothes, just motorbike, cars.
So even at 9, you were impressed.
Well, that's what impressed me. We come from a very poor background.
Well, tell me more about that. So where were your parents born?
My mum was London and my dad was Sheffield, from up that way. But, you know, I had 3 brothers, so, you know, they just had very basic jobs. You know, father used to work in a factory and mother just like a cleaner kind of thing.
Right.
So money was very tight at that stage.
And there were the 4 of you?
Yeah.
Yeah. All boys?
All boys, yeah. But it was so we all used to work kind of thing, and undoubtedly, as I say, that was a turning point. I remember this plumber guy that we knew in the area. It was just like no one could work out why he's got all this money and different from everybody else kind of thing. And I think I used to be off school quite a lot anyhow, just bunking off school anyhow, because obviously I was never going to be that academic. And
So it didn't interest you?
that's right, just of no value at all. You know, I mean, I think I used to turn up for carpentry and metalwork and things like that,
right.
But you know, logarithms and arithmetics and all that nonsense in Latin. And
Were you popular at school? Do you have any mates?
I wouldn't say I was unpopular, but you know, I wasn't one that was in with a crowd kind of thing. You know, I wouldn't say I'm not alone or far from that, but I wouldn't necessarily be in with the in crowd kind of thing.
Right.
And I knew I was different anyhow, because I'd be going to work and you didn't used to really tell these people, you know what I mean?
All the others weren't really going to work. I mean, but you were
No.
all in that kind of working class set. Like, you know, did you live near your mates?
Well, I lived near them, but you know, maybe some of them did have jobs. You know, I mean, sometimes I used to work with some of them. If we go out car washing, we work together. But I had so many different jobs that, to me, it was just something that I kept to myself kind of thing. But maybe one or two of mates, you know, would have been in the same position. But when I think about it, though, you know, they weren't as poor, so I don't think they would have been. Do you know what I mean? The more I think about it, you know, because you know that when you go to school, you got like a hole in your vest and all that, and or holes in your shoes. You know what I mean? And I never used to see that with other people. But yeah, I used to always get the second-hand clothes, second-hand.
So you were going to school in like holy clothes. Like,
Yeah.
You know, did you recognise then that that's like, okay, we're poor?
Oh yeah, undoubtedly, yeah, because you know some of the other kids were smart, and I remember we was playing on like a bomb site one night, and there was a crowd of us, and
Playing on a what?
a bomb site. You know,
A bomb site.
a bomb site is where in the war, I wasn't around in the war, but they had bombed the building and it was left as a bomb site. So we used to call it like just a few buildings down, but the brickwork was still on the floor kind of thing, you know what I mean? So that was like an hangout place for us. And, you know, so it was all rubble and things and tunnels and bits of houses there. So one of my mates came there once and he had this like jumper on. We're all saying to him, "Oh, you're better off to wear some old clothes." And he said, "These aren't my old clothes." And we looked at him like, to us, it was the Sunday best, or I mean, it must be Christmas. You know, we're saying, God, you know what I mean? It was so to us because we was all, you know, we just didn't have no money kind of thing. And we weren't the only ones, but you know, certainly there was a lot of people there that had a different upbringing.
Did your dad go to war?
In the military, yeah.
He was?
Yeah. So he was quite, looking back on it, he would have been quite strict on work ethics.
Yeah.
And, you know, so he must have encouraged us to go to work anyhow, because at that age, you know, I was working with Bill the plumber, and, you know, I said to you how impressed I was with what he had. And he just said to me, look, if you know, become a plumber or do an apprenticeship, you'll have loads of money and you'll never be out of work. And you know, things like that stuck in my mind. And it just impressed me so much. It just showed me how to make money kind of thing. He was working in top houses like, you know, Hampstead Heath, Primrose Hill, and everybody loved him. You know, I mean, everybody was like waiting for him and giving him tips and dinner. And, you know, I was just like blown away with it. And you know, I always say that when they talk about the seeds are sown, you know, undoubtedly when you're young, that was the turning point. And, you know, I say to people, if he'd have been a bank robber, I'd have been a bank robber, you know, because whatever he was doing, I wanted to do. No, I think I never, after about 15, I never really met Bill again. And,
Right, okay.
And I tried to check him out. I think he passed away in 2009 or something. So
Right. Do you think he knew that he inspired you?
I would like to think so. To be honest, one of his daughters contacted me once and said, "Thanks for mentioning my dad in the book." And she was from like a second marriage of him. And yeah, she contacted me, and that's when I found out that he had passed away, because you know, I hadn't sort of heard from him, and you know, I think he would have heard that I was doing okay. I'm pretty sure of that, you know, when I look back on it. But you know, I was sort of so busy that I didn't give a think of tracking him down and thanking him. He taught me so much. I mean, he just taught me. He was just so knowledgeable how to earn money, but so knowledgeable with people. You know, he'd spot wrong people. He'd say, like, no, we don't do this, we do this. And then if anybody tried to mug him off, he would put them in their place, you know what I mean? Yeah. He was sort of not a guy that you wouldn't win one over of him kind of thing. I mean, he was sharp as a razor, the guy.
When you were 9 and you met Bill for the first time, then how old was he? In his 20s, 30s? What was?
I would say he was in his 30s, probably late 30s, yeah. But it was just impressed me so much. But that was just one job, you know, when I bunked off school. And then I used to deliver bag wash. I don't know if that, you know, people didn't have washing machines, so you used to take it to like a dry cleaners, but it weren't a dry cleaners. They would wash it and then you'd deliver it on a Saturday. So the guy would drive the van and he'd be delivering like people's bag wash and you get tips like that's what was the wages, was the tips. But of course, you know, he used to give me the ones that we running all at the top of the building,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, which is quite way you do it, you know what I mean? And, you know, or he'd give you the ones that, you know, you don't get the tip, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or that you shouldn't get a tip. So, you know, I was doing like bag wash delivering on a Saturday. Then every morning I had like a milk round, which was not like the ones where you got the milk flow. I had it where you used to push a trolley around and deliver it. And
did your brothers work as well?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, you all work.
They've all done similar things like
anything to make a quid.
Anything to get money, like work-wise. I used to collect like I think it was called rags and papers. You used to go around collecting, knocking on people's doors, getting that. And then the rags are worth the more money, and papers like you just put them all together. And then taking bottles back, beer bottles and lemonade bottles.
Any way you could be useful, any way you could.
Yeah,
be
I mean,
to make
it was. I wouldn't say it was easy to earn it, but there was many ideas, many things that you could make happen. But I get a feeling that, you know, I think I was ahead of the game kind of thing, because I'd go round to the greengrocer woman and, do you want any errands, you know? And because they can't get out of the shop all day, she'd say to me, yeah, I need some snuff from the sweet shop or something. And, or snuff and that. And so I'd go to the sweet shop and get her what she wants. Then I'd say to the sweet shop guy, do you need anything? He'd go, yeah, I need some potatoes or apples. And I was like getting double the money. And then I thought to myself, God, if they ever find out, I felt like I was fiddling them. But
you're being useful. You're being, you know.
Well, each one give me footprints like for doing it. And then sometimes, then they'd send you to the wholesalers, like, you know, and where we was like, it must have been like 12 or 15 shops. So whatever shop, even a second-hand shop, I'd go into there and say, do you need any errands done? She might say, yeah, could you pop up and get me a sandwich from the cafe? You know what I mean? And I thought, I used to think to myself, how clever is that? You know what I mean? And I've seen in business a lot of people that do, you know, they do double things where, you know, especially in PR, they put you with someone else and they're getting money off of them, money off of you. So I've sort of learned that thing where you can do, you know, twice as much, but it looks like you're only doing one lot kind of thing. But it did worry me at the time. As a kid, I just thought, bloody hell, you know. And then I thought afterwards, how clever was that? If when I look back on it, and of course, with the shop thing, it went on, and then it was a regular thing. So,
were you taking that money back to the family then, or were you spending it yourself, or saving it? What were you doing?
Oh, I'm not a saver. No, we would have spent that between like me and my brothers, kind of thing. You know, probably, I'm sure I would have had the lion's share of it, as you do in that business.
But it wasn't like your mum and dad were hoping or expecting that you would bring some of that money back into the house.
Well, no, I mean, but we used to buy food with it and sort of, you know, I'm sure like sweets and things like that, but mainly other things. And clothes, funny enough, the second-hand clothes, because, yeah, thinking about it, we'd have had to get the money for the clothes. So it just felt normal, you know what I mean?
Were you a close family?
No, I wouldn't say we was close, but we never had any fallout. Mum and dad's passed away now and I still have 3 brothers. We all sort of went a different route kind of thing, you know what I mean? They've all done different things, and I think one brother had a butcher shop, another one he had a window cleaning business, the other one he sort of started doing his own plumbing thing, like, but just on a small time, like, you know. So they all sort of done their own little thing in a way, and then. But
that's interesting that everyone started their own business effectively. So you got a butcher there, you got you know,
but on a very small scale, you know what I mean? Very small scale. Like, it was like,
it's rare for somebody to go out and create, you know, for 4 brothers to go out and create
all the same
of different scales, of course. But
you know, they sort of like, I suppose I have to say, you know, I'm the successful one on it kind of thing. But I see what they was doing. But it was always small, and the problem with most business people is we think too small. We don't think big enough.
I remember you said that your biggest regret in business is not going bigger sooner.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We don't know our capabilities, and I left school at 15. If only I'd left at 14, my company would have been bigger and whatever. And then if only I had thought bigger at the time, and we'd have like dominated London kind of thing.
Did you not?
Well, we had a fair share of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but you know yourself, enough.
I know what you're like. Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah. What is enough? I mean, it's early to be asking the question, but back then, what did success look like to you?
Okay, well, I think all I wanted then was to be a plumber, and I knew what being a plumber would give you. It would give me
All the things that Bill had.
Yeah. I was probably trying to sort of, copy him kind of thing.
You trying to impress him?
No, because we'd lost
Because you'd lost contact at that point, yeah.
Part of company, but what I'm saying is I just could not believe how much, he used to like get a big wad of money out of his pocket, and we're looking at it like as if he must have robbed the bank or something, and it was that, the impression of that everything, and he'd done it intentionally for
And
us.
you would have met him down South London?
North London.
So you were still in Camden at this point?
That's it, yeah. Then,
I mean, what did Camden look like in the 50s? What was 50s, 60s? What was it like, and how's it changed now?
It's definitely changed. I mean, then it was like a dump, like a shithole, really. But what I noticed when I look back now, there was one or two wealthy people in the street, and I didn't realise that. Well, I probably realised it, but I realised that I couldn't understand why you got this mixture of this family here are poor, and then just along there they're like quite wealthy. So I think it was a mixture, but you only really notice mainly the people that are like you, but all of a sudden you go, oh, them people down there, they've got a car, or them people have got like curtains up or something, you know what I mean? Or them people are like, got someone cleaning their windows, things like that. So I think at the time it was definitely a down area, but there was a bit of sort of money about. Places like Primrose Hill and Hampstead Heath, which was just loaded with money kind of thing. So ours looked sort of very poor compared with that. And the change of it now, I mean, people tell me it's expensive, it's very trendy there. I mean, I wouldn't want to live there, that's for sure. Well, see, I never tend to mention Camden Town now, and I just say to everyone I'm from South London because, from the later part of 11 onwards, I was still doing jobs kind of thing, but I used to travel back to North London and do them.
Yeah.
Obviously not the milk range, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was still going back there and
how do you get around? Tube?
Tube. But I used to bunk the tube then, you know what I mean? It was like, used to just slip through with a ticket guy there, you know what I mean? Or run through. And it was just so easy, you know what I mean? But we'd always been used to doing that. It weren't complicated, you know what I mean? And, it's, how it is now, it's like breaking into a bank just to get through the ticket machine now, isn't it? But then you just used to dart along, you know what I mean? You'd walk slow up to him, and then as soon as he takes someone's ticket, and of course he can't run after you because, that's
he's got to stay there, right?
Yeah, well then, when sometimes they did used to chase you, then the rest of your mates used to slip through, you know what I mean? Yeah. So, and of course you get good at them type of things. I think you get very streetwise. And with Bill, I mean, he was so sharp as a razor. It was just like incredible. I actually thought that when we used to work in these big houses, the general talk around the area was, that he's a crook and where does he get all this money? And he used to go out at night on his motorbike. So everybody used to think that, he was up to something, etc. And even I did as a kid, I thought, well, he's got to be a thief or something, He goes out at 2 o'clock in the morning, but of course he was going on an emergency job. But no, he'd keep his business to himself. And I remember once I was working at Primrose Hill when we're on the ground floor, like this luxury apartment, and we're doing in a bathroom, and he sort of opened the window. And of course, he opened the window to, I think, let the heat, was using blow lamps and that out. And I'm thinking, I've worked it out. He leaves the window open, comes back at night, and then robs them. And I was convinced.
And you're sure that he didn't?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they loved him too much. Because, it's just, if he... It just wouldn't work that way. But in my mind as a kid, I'm thinking, I've sussed him out. He's left the window open. But of course, these people, you can leave windows open because it was all like communal, like, in other words, there was money people.
Yeah.
Where we were, the poorer you was, you couldn't leave your window open because someone would get in there, you know what I mean? Like, and I thought, you know what, I've sussed Bill out. He's a crook, like, he comes back at night. But of course, like, we repaired a lead pipe in the front garden, and me being a kid, I'm like digging the hole and loving it, water and mud and everything. I remember there's a load of mud on me, and the woman said to me, "Oh, I bet your mum will go off about that kind of thing." And I don't know what my reply was, but Bill said to me, was, "Look, if they ever say that to you again, tell me your mum's dead and then give you money." You know what I mean? No, that's what he told me, but I'm sure I would have used that. You know what I mean? He said, "You tell me you ain't got a mum, and they give you money, like, but there's things like that I remember. And would have I used that line? I'm sure I would have done. You know what I mean? When people call you entrepreneur, businessman, call you what you want, but I regard myself as a money getter. And I don't know many people that are better money getter than me when things were going out, or through my life, or once things started going. You know, I remember once I used to work with Sammy Fox's dad, Pat Fox, and he was a carpenter, and he was a great money getter. So I think I picked up bits from him.
Do you think being poorer was a reason that you wanted to do that?
Undoubtedly. I mean, if I'd have had money, I mean, you wouldn't get the work ethics because you wouldn't have gone to work. And people used to say to me, you don't stop working. Like, you know, I'd be working every hour possible and 7 days a week. And I'd get home, and if I got another emergency on the way home, I'd just turn the van round, go back. People going like, and sometimes I have people with me, that's when I was on the tools, and they're going like, I can't do any more hours, I've got to go home. I used to think that, you know, if there's an opportunity to get money, don't turn it down, because if everybody can pick and choose when you want to earn money, everyone will be a millionaire. Of course, with that work ethics that definitely come from poor background, definitely come from build, definitely come from doing all the jobs. When
did your parents pass away, if you don't mind me asking?
I think about 5-6 years ago.
So they saw the success?
They sort of see it, but I'm not sure that, like, I didn't really publicise it, if you know what I mean. So I don't really know what they thought.
When you say you didn't publicise it?
Well, what I'm trying to say, I'm not a guy walking around saying, you know,
I've got this.
$2,000 a week, and you know what I mean, and you know, and certainly not the worst thing you can do to people that have no money is to be braggy. You know what I mean? Like, you know, especially your own parents. You know, I think they would see the bit of success, but they wouldn't have seen the full lot of it. I don't think. You could just give them obviously a few quid here and there, kind of thing. But if I had that opportunity again, it would be totally different. But you know, I sort of wasn't generous enough, but then, you know, they weren't the type that...
Quite proud people, possibly.
Yeah.
Would they have taken it if you would have put, like, if you're like, right, here's a house, here's money, would they have taken it?
I don't know, but, you know, all I'm saying when people say, did you, you know, I bet you looked after your parents, you know, I can honestly say I don't think I did, you know, but obviously if I'd see them, I'd give them a few quid, but, you know, I don't think it would have been acceptable to, you know, they're not like car drivers or people that would ever buy an house, and do you know what I mean? You never take them out of the life that they've lived, kind of thing. I think it's different these days with things where you look after your children more, kind of thing, and children, I think, they tend to look after their parents more now because it's a lot more acceptable to be doing okay, kind of thing.
But it's also tough to talk to your family about money. You know, we used to have debt collectors come and take our stuff and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's horrible, isn't it?
Not everybody sort of likes successful people. You know, they're you know yourself, the more successful you are, the more haters you get. You know, all I've learned in life is that nobody doing better than you ever knocks you.
So when you were 15, is that when you went into plumbing straight away?
Yeah, I've done an apprenticeship at 15, straight away. I swear by apprenticeships because, you know, it ties you into a contract. A lot of youngsters don't really realise that. And it means that you're not going to move from job to job. It's very difficult.
And it works both ways then as well. It's great for you and it's great for them.
Well, that's right. It works both ways, but it's very hard to understand that at 15. And I was like doing the plumbing. I was getting 10 pence an hour as an apprentice. And my wages was coming to something like £3 a week. And then I had mates that was working in clothes shops getting 12 quid a week. And I'm like thinking, I don't get this.
You're putting all that work in.
Yeah. And then, but I remember one of the plumbers I worked with as an apprentice said to me, what you don't earn now as an apprentice, you'll get later. And things like that stick in your mind. And I'm thinking, so I'm going to get money later. Like I'm struggling as an apprentice kind of thing. Then I got married at 19 and we had a baby at 19.
How was that?
Was it a shock, like, because all of a sudden that's growing up time, and if anything, it gave me more sort of enthusiasm. You know, I always wanted to buy my own house, and I think I bought my first house at about 24, 25, which it seemed quite young then because I never knew anyone that had an house in my family, and I remember getting 100% mortgage, and I think, and I somehow got it off the council, even though it wasn't a council house. I mean, I had a way that you done something that made it work, and I was self-employed, but I went on a company, said to them, look, I'm self-employed, but put me on the books for a little while, and of course, it managed to get the mortgage thing, and I was just shocked, like, you know, I'm thinking to myself, God, blimey, you've got this mortgage now, and the first house I bought was £9,000, and the last place I bought was this, where we are now, my penthouse, and that was 10 million. So, like when I look at that type of comparison, I think to myself, well, it was an achievement to buy the first house, and I was so excited about it. But the problem is, I was renovating it and all and working and, but the good thing is, I had the time and energy, drive, enthusiasm. You've got to have that. And I realise now that often people say, how comes millions of plumbing companies, how comes your one's like sticks out, how comes this and how comes that? And, I think the same old thing, if you do what everyone else does, then, and it was the right way, then everyone would be a millionaire, wouldn't they? And I thought to myself, so you've got to do different, and like if I sit at a table and 4 people say, we're going to go for this, I'll drop that out, I'll do the other one. I'll take a chance on the other one, because if everyone was right all the time, they'd all be millionaires. So I'll go against what I would call the grain of people, you know what I mean? They go...
Apprenticeship from 15, but after the apprenticeship, did you work for anybody else again?
No.
How old were you when you started Pimlico?
27, I think. And that I was working with Pat Fox then, the Sammy Fox's dad, and it was quite strange. We were working in the Pimlico area, and we was working for Pimlico Properties doing some work, and Pat knew the guy quite well. At that time, I think they was changing the big house into little flats, and we was doing very well, kind of thing. And he was a great money getter, Pat, no two ways about that. And then he said, like, that his daughter was going in to be this page 3, Sam Fox, and he said, I'm going to take 3 weeks off, and then we'll be back, kind of thing. So I carried on a job. Well, Pat never come back, and he never picked a saw up again. Do you know what I mean? He obviously see there was lots of money there. So he went off, and I'm still in Pimlico. I think the guy in the estate agents at that time offered me and Pat a room in the basement, because he knew Pat more than me. So Pat was a bit dubious on it, like I was. So he went off and done this with his daughter. And then the guy offered it to me, and I'm having sleepless nights. I think, I just couldn't work out, why does the plumber need this room? I just couldn't work it out at all. And I thought maybe I store things there. And he started saying, like, you can have a bit of an office, he said, and we'll answer the phones for you. And then I started smelling a rat. I think, well, if you're answering the phones, he wants dosh off you. So there was answering machines at the time. So he just put an answering machine in. And I just have this one room, and I'd go back, this is a machine, get a job off it. Like, go and do the job, come back. And then all of a sudden, then the penny dropped, and my turning point again was employing people. And I say to anybody now, if you want to be successful, you've got to employ people. Because everybody like says, oh, I don't want to get bigger company, I don't want to this, don't want to employ people. And I say to people, it's a double-edged sword. Like the worst thing in business is employing people, but it's also the best thing. One guy said to me once, I was working in his sweet shop, and it was a friend of mine, but he was in business. And I went and bought a sweet shop, because I'm thinking he's having it right off in this sweet shop, but he had flats above it, and so I was doing work there. And he said, what you need to do is get more Charlies, more people like you. And like the penny dropped again. He said, that's what you need to get. He said, because you can't be in 2 places. And then, all these things that certain pointless things indicated. And then, when I took the office on, and I'm thinking, well, I remember him saying, I've got to get people. And the big fear, and I took some old biddy on, a retired school teacher. I thought she can answer the phone and do the letters, or typing and all that. To be honest, I think she was past sell-by date, you know what I mean? Because I quickly learned that she just weren't keeping up on it, or work was coming in. I started taking on people. So, I switched from the tools to being in the office.
How quickly did you go from that? How quickly from starting the company to you being less on the tools?
I was still doing emergency work up to about 4 or 5 years, but after about not even a year, I think I switched, because again, I'd learned that, you've got to have someone in charge. You've got to have someone that makes decisions. You've got to have someone like telling people what to do. When I started employing people, then I've got this old biddy answering the phone. Then I thought, look, that ain't going to work. She's just too slow. So I got someone else in, and I see the difference. And then I'm thinking, right, well, if I'm in here and all, I can pick the phones up and start getting the work. And then, so that's it. And then, I remember over in Pimlico, we had 20 people, and you start setting figures of how many people you want to employ. And I'm thinking, well, if I get to 20, that's going to be amazing. It looks like you'll be okay, kind of thing. And then when eventually we sold Pimlico, I was employing about 450 people. And, I realised now I could have had 1,000 people. And I probably should have done, because once you get over a certain figure of people, the problem's the same kind of thing. In other words, you get a certain amount that are always going to be ill on a Monday and Friday, and and full of shit.
So you say it's the worst thing and the best thing. What's the worst thing about employing people?
Well, people themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they're like.
I mean, I know how I feel about it. As I say, I'm an employer. I know it brings with it a lot of headaches.
Unbelievable headaches. But again, being in business so long, I don't say you master it. But we're actually starting a new company, new plumbing and heating company next year when their 3 years is up, because I sold the other one.
Yeah, so you got that non-compete for 3 years. Yeah.
And that happens next September, and we will clean up London.
Because you said that selling was a big mistake, didn't you?
Well, it's a big mistake. Like, you look 2 years down the line and allegedly they're not doing very well. They're doing terrible, actually. And they're even getting worse and worse. And they've come away from the great system we had.
What was the system? Because you had a Pimlico Bible.
Yeah, well...
Tell me about the Bible.
The system was just a set of rules, and then nothing that clever at that. It's just that people don't... to run a business, you've got to say, it's like steering a ship. You've got to have someone in charge and telling people what to do and where to go. And, I worked out if you've got a set of rules, then it makes it a lot simpler to follow. But there weren't nothing clever, don't wear no earrings, no facial tattoos, no shorts, got to wear uniform, got to turn up on time, you couldn't drink and, come in where you've been drinking. But a lot of people were so casual in the workplace. I think that was my intent. I'll tell you what made me go that way on it. When I was as a self-employed plumber, you turn up at an house and the plumber had a bad name, like back then in, say, sort of the 70s, 80s. And it was like, the last plumber didn't finish the job. He had broken arm, broken van. All these million excuses. I thought, I don't want to be like that. So what I've done a list of things that are bad in the industry, like not turning up, scruffy bastard, like his arse hanging out, dirty old van, not finishing the job, not tidying up, not being transparent. And I've just done the opposite. So I've done this list of opposite things. It ain't typical, like plumber never turns up late. So our deal was we always turn up, and you turn up on time. Scruffy bastard plumber. So ours was smart plumber, smart van. It was just reversing everything, not everything, but a lot. And then what it then attracts is the people that are prepared to follow that. Yes, they're going to follow it, because if not, they're gone. But, it can take quite a time to train someone to your way of thinking, because they're going, turn up in a clean van. We used to have like our own valeting service, and it had to be cleaned every week. And we'd have someone going around quality control on the jobs, and check the van, check the uniform. And if they weren't right, we would have to get it right.
You became quite famous for your vans, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had all the
number
plumbing-related number plates. And again, I have to say it was my idea. I mean, as much as I had a marketing man at the time, he actually thought it was a bad idea. He said, well, don't you think that the customer's going to think, if you can pay that much for a number plate, you're charging too much? I said, well, look, you could say that because you turn up in a new van and clean and tidy and uniform, but we're not a cheap, we was never a cut price outfit. I mean, and that's the difference of why we was probably successful, because we had to charge a certain rate to be able to conduct yourself in a certain way. And anybody that used to work in London and weren't charging the proper rate, I used to say to people, well, don't matter, they're not making no money, or they got arseholes turning up at a job. And, don't worry, we'll get that job anyhow, because they'll fuck it up, you know what I mean? I mean, you got to, to get the right people, as you've got to pay the right money. And from a customer's point of view, I learned very quickly that people will always pay for quality. So the price ain't their main problem. The main problem is, will you turn up? Are you honest? Will you get the job done? Will you come back if there's a problem? And, that's the way we run our business. So it was, I mean, when I think about it, we used to do 2,500 jobs a week at the end there. And I think that the figure was something between 75 and 85% of the customer had used us before. But now in plumbing, that was never done. I used to talk to plumbers years ago, and they'd go, oh yeah, I've gone in there, ripped her off, like, because you're never going back. And, but they're that foolish, people, that the best way to run a business is existing customers, return customer base. And I've quickly learned that, because my sort of motto to the company was, or to a customer was, once you become a Pimlico customer, you become a Pimlico customer for life. And I used to say to the people on the company, the only way Mrs. Smith and Eaton Square won't use us is if we fuck up. And if we don't fuck up, then we've got her for life. And it worked like that, because, I mean, even when I sold the company, I still had some of my customers that, when I first started Pimlico, that I used to serve, and they'd tell the plumber, oh yeah, Charlie used to come in, he'd fix the toilet, he'd done this and that. I mean, most of them are dead, but there were still a few of them that still use you. So we had that sort of in my mind, like, but it's hard to portray that to anybody, but why would someone stop using you? They'll only stop using you if you fuck up.
Because you need it, right? You know, plumbing is a thing that we all need at some stage.
Well, it's there, and I say people always pay for quality, and people don't get it. When I say to plumbers, like, you got to be at the job at 8 o'clock, and they say, was it that important? I said, of course it's important. I said, if you had half a brain, you get there at 10 to 8. If you want to get a tip, get there at 10 to 8. And I could teach certain people, guaranteed that you'll have a satisfied customer, and like we was very transparent. We was like the first plumbing company I think ever to put our prices on the website, and we had them on our invoice. So you had to follow the price bands, on an hourly rate, or you give them an estimate, and it had to be within 10%. So by being transparent, I mean, I used to talk to other plumbing companies going, oh, you've got to be stupid. He said, never tell them how much the material costs, never this, never that. But I learned the transparency made it that people want to be able to trust you.
I think the thing is, there's always a fear of being ripped off, isn't there? As a customer,
exactly.
as when a tradesman comes in, I'll always bow down to an expert. If somebody can do something better than I can, I'll pay them for that job. But there is a concern that, much like mechanics and things like that, that they're going to try and rip you off.
Exactly.
So the more reassured you can make somebody feel, the more they're going to trust you.
That's exactly what Pimlico done, and I think we was probably the first to do it, because people say, you've got to be mad putting this and telling them that.
Your next company, how's that going to be different from Pimlico?
Well, it's going to be more advanced, and it's going to have even better quality people, but less people. So it's going to be very much a premier service that people will pay a decent price for, but you will get the best quality.
Do you have a name for it?
It's called the We Fix team.
The We Fix team?
Yeah, and it'll be a premier service, but we won't employ as many people because we don't want arseholes, basically. And, we've already started designing the type of the van, like electric vans. It's very going to be advanced, and I've got the same sort of marketing guy that used to work with Pimlico, and he's been with me 35 years, and he still does work today. And, he's working on it. And the idea is the van will be amazing. I mean, I used to say Pimlico's vans at the time was the most nicest, recognisable van on the road, and that was the case. But these ones will be way above that.
How many vans at your peak did you have driving around London?
About 250, 260, yeah.
Moving billboards, isn't it?
Yeah. It's an amazing amount of business people or tradesmen don't get the value of a sign-written vehicle. I mean, I actually think the law should be that any tradesman working in London should have his company name on the van. Pimlico's best advertising tool was their van. So we maximised on that with the number plates, the sign on the top. Now, the new company will have all this, but advanced. That'll be digital. And the less you can say on marketing or on advertising sometimes is more. And, seeing what I'm seeing, where we're going, I mean, there won't be a van that can touch it on the road.
So you sold in 2021 to a US company called Neighbourly.
That's correct, yeah.
Do you think they're going to be upset about you starting a new company? Do you care?
I don't care, but yes, they are upset. They
already know.
Oh, of course they do. I mean, I've got nothing to hide. We're not doing nothing wrong.
What are you doing it for? You've got the money. You don't need to. Why are you doing it?
I've got a big family, 10 grandchildren, and, a lot of the grandchildren and my sons and family worked on the company before. So I want to make it very much a company business. And my part of it is just my knowledge and involvement. And then it's for them then, and that's their future. I think if I went at it full time, it ain't what I want to be doing full time now. And right as you say, I ain't short of a few quid. So, it's not about money, but I just see it as another opportunity. And as I say, when you start a business, say, from your own van, like 35 quid van and a bag of tools, then you sell it for 148 mil or something at the end. So I've sort of seen the story from the bottom end to the top, what you can achieve. I know that anything I pass on my knowledge, and a lot of my family worked with me years, will work. I just know. I mean, it's like, yes, it's a lot tougher out there. Okay, yeah, I agree. Of course it's tougher out there. But people have still got their plumbing, and people will always pay for quality. There's no two ways. It's a bit like, Savile Row has got less tailors. You still got people will go in there and still pay $6,000 for a suit, including me. And you've got someone else go wherever they want to go, kind of thing. And so, there's still a market for quality. And in plumbing, I mean, if you think plumbers are expensive now, just the way it's going with the shortage of tradesmen and the EU, like not the free movement, and unfortunately, kids are not being trained up. Any tradesman now that's got his head screwed on could become a millionaire. That's my way of. I'm not going to use that. If I could do it, anyone can do it. But if you're a good tradesman and you know how to run a business, I suppose. But I'm just trying to say it's a golden opportunity to become rich. There's no two ways about that.
You're working a lot. So you start Pimlico, as you say, 27. How many kids you got at that point?
4.
So you had all your kids before you were 27. Like, what kind of dad were you? Were you present or were you always working?
Sadly, I was on call, wasn't I? I was on call. No, look, I have to say that side of it. The wife at the time, she was dealing with the children, and I'd be working. Yeah, I don't, but things have changed then. In other words, I didn't see it so like today. That's a different kind of thing. They do this, do that. But no, I'm not going to say I was like a dad that was always at home, but yes, I definitely, provided, we had a great home, great lifestyle, everything we want, you know what I mean? And all the family enjoyed that. So the two don't quite work. You got to do one or the other kind of. That's the route I took. And I don't regret that because, well, I wouldn't be today where I am today if it weren't for that, But unfortunately, I think when someone becomes successful, something has to go on the way. And I've noticed this with a lot of people that are at the top light and they've done well, and they've sometimes it's your marriage goes, sometimes it's your health, sometimes you fall out with your family, friends, you could even go bankrupt. But to get success, unfortunately, something has to go. Well, it certainly did with me. I mean, 2 marriages went.
Is it hard to be a good husband when you're working all that?
I wouldn't say it caused a problem, but it doesn't help, does it? Look, everybody's different. Obviously family would always come first, but I think I come from an era where you had to provide for your family, and that was installed by me from my mum and dad, because we had to provide for ourselves, kind of thing. Yeah, so it's a different timing, but now I know how to, we eventually got to run Pimlico where I didn't need to be there, do a bit of PR. So once you got like the train going, kind of thing, and it's in the right direction, on the right road, you don't necessarily have to be 24 hours a day. And I realise that now that, you can get people in that can do a good job. I used to think, like most tradesmen at the time, that only you was good at that. So when I worked in the office, I used to be doing the wages, recruiting people, estimating jobs. I think, well, no one else can do that. And then all of a sudden, you get people in, and you think, he's better than me at it. Like, why is that? Well, he happens to be an accountant. That's why he's better at the wage. So I learned that there's people out there that are better than you at certain things. And I learned another thing in business, like round pegs, square holes. Don't do that. I used to take someone on as answering the phones. If they was no good, I'd put them on estimating, or I'd put them on something else, and then I was moving them around. And all of a sudden I realised, if you want someone like wages, get someone that's in accountancy. Don't get the person you've got to do the phone, you know what I mean? And I learned that, and all these sayings that come from somewhere, and like square pegs in round holes is the worst thing in doing business.
Is that just you trying to be helpful or useful or good to that person by still employing them, do you think? Or
yeah,
is it...
undoubtedly you think that, but you also, you can see, it's hard at that early days of Pimlico. It's hard, someone walking in and knowing what they're good at and what they're not at. And then now, like, even in Pimlico, we wouldn't tolerate nothing now. You know what I mean? It's like, if someone comes in first day on the phone and they're behaving wrong, they've gone. Once they've been told, kind of thing. But you already laid down the rules. You've come in, you've got to wear your uniform even in the office.
Do you still think it was a mistake to sell Pimlico now? Now you've got WeFix come in.
Probably no, it wasn't. It wasn't a mistake to sell it, because it would have meant I got to spend a lot more time there. And we was a growing company. I just feel that because they're allegedly, not improved it, and we was like booming when I sold it, absolutely booming, and we'd hit 50 mil. And, we'd have carried on going up. And, I remember years ago, I used to say to myself, like, I used to all start off, imagine employing 10 people, then 20, then 500. And now, like, I think, why didn't I just employ 1,000 people? I mean, I'll ask you a question. You're a businessman, and I think you're going to get the answer. When's the best time to get rid of someone?
The second you realise they should go.
Exactly. That's spot on.
Sitting on it doesn't help.
That's right.
It never gets better.
That's right. Ask 9 people out of 10, they would never get that right. And then when I say it to them, they look at you, they say, yeah, but...
It's because it feels inhuman, doesn't it? It feels like, the terminology, I don't use get rid, but, I'd say, let somebody go. And, you support them out of it. But I think that's the thing is that people feel like, it feels like you're being this capitalistic.
Yeah, of course.
But not everybody is right in that role. They'll find a role they're right for.
Look, you are right there. I mean, look, I wouldn't say I was ruthless, but was quite blunt at the time with somebody. I used to sometimes walk in the office and I see some clown picking the phone up and I'd say, they've got to go. And that's just on an appearance. And I say to recruitment, look, you look at the person, have a look at them like they're a mess, they're this, that and the other. And I'm not saying they made their mistakes. Sometimes with an engineer, I'd see him come in the office the first time and he's slomming about, like paying in and like all over the place. And I say to somebody, who's he? Boom. So I say, how long's he been with us? A week. I said, he's got to go. He ain't right. So I'm not saying I can tell someone's right, but I can tell if they're wrong. Just by their body language and the way they are and the questions and things. And your business is all about the people you employ. The better the people, the better your company. But I don't think you necessarily have to be ruthless. I mean, I'll take one look at someone and, but in the past, when we were smaller, we'd give them a chance. You think, well, he's got kids and he's doing this, doing that. But at the end of the day, if you want a successful business, you've got to be honest. And, nobody likes getting rid of people or sacking them or whatever.
Well, they say hire slow, fire fast, don't they?
Yeah, well, look, once you've done it, as I say, the worst thing in business is employing people. It's also the best thing because when you get the right people, then that you're on your way to success kind of thing.
So if you're doing WeFix next year, does that mean you're not going for the mayoral election? Because I know you've obviously been talking about that for years now. So
yeah, well, look, evidently I've just been barred on Twitter at the moment for making some allegations about...
Yeah, let's talk about that. Do you think that means then that the mayoral election and you even going for London mayor is off the table?
I wouldn't say it's off the table. My people have said to me, that hasn't gone down well, what you said about current mayor.
What did you say?
What did I say? I said it's time to dump the Muslim mayor.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't regard that as racist. It's like I tried to say it's time to dump if he was Irish, the Irish
Would you
mayor.
have said that?
Sorry?
Would you have said that? Would you have said it's time to dump the Irish mayor?
Yeah, or like if he was like, wherever he was from, I would have said that. It weren't meant as a Muslim thing. I mean, he's a Muslim, and I just said it's time to dump the Muslim mayor. And then,
do you regret saying it?
Not that, no, because I don't think they got rid of me because of that. And then somebody put, let's hope he ain't around next year. And I said, I'd imagine someone, or I don't know if he used well. I said probably someone would have killed him by then.
I think you said someone should kill him.
Should kill him.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever I said then. I mean,
how do you feel like? Do you regret doing that?
Yes, very much so. Yeah. I mean, we've sent an apology into Twitter. We sent an apology to the mayor's office, and
I know he publicly spoke, didn't he, about it? Yeah.
Did he?
Saying that it wasn't on, saying that any threats against his life, his family are to be taken seriously.
I shouldn't have said it. You're right, and but if I'm being honest, at the time, I was in hospital. And and in Spain, and I was on a lot of different tablets, and and they're now responding saying what tablets of medicine he was on. And I think that if my mind was clear, I wouldn't have said that. I wouldn't have said it. I mean, undoubtedly not, because I've had threats of people going to kill me, and it's quite frightening. So that was undoubtedly a mistake.
So you don't feel like the Muslim thing was a racist thing? Like, if somebody says to you, "I think that was racist," like, do you accept that it was, or do you think it wasn't?
Well, look, different people. I think I'm used to speaking my mind, and I didn't feel, it was. I didn't feel it was racist, but I can understand how people see it. You with me?
Yeah. I'm trying to understand it.
Yeah, that's the thing. But all I'm saying, the fact is, yes, I've said I made a mistake the way I worded it. I mean, I should have put, there's time to dump the arsehole or something. And it would have got a better reception.
Maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that was a mistake. But
I'm glad. Cheers for talking about it, because I think a lot of the time now people are so polarised and they won't speak. That they won't sit across a table and have a conversation. What they want to do is just say, "He's this, she's that,
That's
they're
right.
that.
You know, I mean, I'm quite outspoken. I mean, I'm known as controversial.
Do you think you're controversial? Do you try to be controversial?
I don't try. I mean, I'm just being honest, direct, blunt, rude. Call it what you want. I mean, it don't really matter what word it is, but I'm a successful businessman. You know, whatever you want to call me on the other things, you know, I'm a successful businessman. Not like I'm talking shit, like, you know, but if people go, oh, you're rude, you're blunt, you're too direct, you're this, that, and the other. Yeah, that's call me what you want. It makes no difference to me. I mean, name's never going to be a big deal on it. And I think that was my attitude with the Muslim mayor kind of thing. But looking back on it, yeah, it was a mistake. But, you know, it's not a hanging offence, you know what I mean? I mean,
with you being banned from Twitter, you know, with all that said, do you think then you're not going to, do you think that there's something you don't want to do? Or
well, like, you know, the team that I was going to have around me have said, you know, that you know, it may not be feasible to happen now.
So I looked at the racial build-up of London now, and I bet it's changed an awful lot in the decades since you lived in Camden.
Yeah.
It is 20% British Asian, so
Yeah.
I guess that's a sizable potential percentage of people that would vote. I think it's 56% white and 30-something% white British. So it's clearly changed.
Yeah, it's clearly changed. But if I was running for it, I would win it. Of course I would.
You what, sorry?
If I was running for mayor, I would win.
You're definite?
Oh, no two ways about that. Yeah, because, you know, I know what Londoners want. I mean, I've, you know, lived in London all my life, worked in London all my life, spent my money in London all my life, spent my time in London, you know, a proper sort of understand London. And irrespective of a throwaway comment, I mean, you know, the people need in London, you know, obviously with all these youth charges that he's doing and robbing people and these silly bike lanes, you know what I mean? They'd be gone straight away and get London moving again. So from a business point of view, London would be booming again because London's come to a standstill from the road point of view, and you need to get London moving again. And I believe I could do that. You know, they talk about the emission charge and all that, they're causing more of a problem now because of the traffic build-up and the amount of businesses that are going out and the amount of people won't come into London. I mean, he's absolutely destroyed London, this guy. And also I would work on the apprenticeship thing. I would have free public transport for all apprentices to encourage them into an apprenticeship. And I would also be, even though I wouldn't have control of that, putting forward to the government that, which I have done already, that we need to have a government-funded apprenticeship scheme. So when youngsters leave school, they've got to have a job, university, or they go straight into a government-funded apprenticeship scheme.
You had 1,500 apprentices through Pimlico.
Over the years, yeah. Best thing ever. And of course, the new company are not taking them on and they're getting rid of them left, right and centre. And I'm thinking to myself, you've got to be mad, you know what I mean? Because you train them, you use them, and they stay with you. It's just a winner, you know what I mean? It's just a winner. Like, and I hear things about the other company and some of the apprentices that I took on, and people say, oh no, they got rid of me and they don't believe in the apprentice. I'm thinking, you know, Americans have a different way of doing things. Allegedly, what I hear, and according to their accounts in the paper, they've dropped 11%. They can't be doing it right. And I know, like, lots of engineers that have gone from there and office staff that have been with me 20, 25, 30 years, all the top layer have gone, and, you know, they've already been onto our company saying, we can't wait for you to open up. You know, it won't be my company, so that, you know, that I want to leave my options open for the mayor thing because, you know, if I can run for it, then I believe his time's up. You know, I say time to dump the mayor, but without the Muslim bit.
And that's May 2024, isn't it, when the election is?
Yeah.
What would you say, though, to that 20%, that fifth of Londoners that are British Asian that might, if they heard the Muslim mayor thing, you know, because of course not everybody's going to have, like, how do you convince them to vote for you with that having been said?
Well, I think we're making more the Muslim thing, you know what I mean? If I'm being honest, I mean, it's not like, it wasn't meant like that. I mean, if you know, if I see a Muslim playing, I mean, what do I call him? You know, he's a Muslim, isn't he? There's nothing wrong with saying you're a Muslim, is there? I mean, you know, I have a Muslim girlfriend. If I'm being honest, I think the mayor's office have jumped on it and see it as a knocker. And, you know, I fought bigger battles than that. I don't see it as a big deal. I mean, you know, I'm an honest guy in that. And you know, I know that if you got London moving and you stop ripping off Londoners, whether it don't matter whether they're Muslim or whether they're wherever they come from, then they're going to want to vote for you. If you give someone something, if you're helping somebody, they're going to vote for you. And I don't feel that a current mayor is helping anybody other than himself and like the mayor's office kind of thing. He's just ripping people off, and that's one thing I would not do is rip people off. I mean, you've got to incentivise people.
On which note, so obviously you against ULEZ, shall we say?
Against what?
Against ULEZ,
Undoubtedly.
Are you still paying for NHS worker fines? Is that still?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I said that,
Do many come across your desk?
I don't know. My PA deals with it.
Right.
I mean, I don't, get involved. But what I said, I think that, ripping off sort of nurses and all that need to go in, it's just the wrong way to bat. I mean, you got to remember the current mayor there's a lot of people that he's upset. I believe that you need someone with a business brain and someone that is proper understands London. Let's be fair, you could arguably say he's catering more for, his type of people kind of thing. And, London's still got plenty of London people in it, but in the same token, it don't matter where you come from, if you can't move around London, it ain't what you want, or you can't get to work, or you can't get a job, because businesses are going out of business. I mean, because of the way you stop London. So I think I've got something to offer them, and that's just one minor bit, but I said to you about school leavers should undoubtedly go into a government-funded apprenticeship scheme, and I spoke to 2 or 3 prime ministers over the years over it, and they always keep making an excuse. Oh, it's not that simple, Charlie. Really? Not that simple. And I remember Boris when he was running for London mayor, and he came round our office and said, how can we cut down crime on the street? And I'm looking at Boris and thinking, are you that thick? Like, you know what I mean? I said, all you've got to do is get him a job. Who? What do you mean? I'm better than that, And I said, look, whenever a youngster gets in trouble, he normally says, I don't have a job, I've got no future, got nothing to do. And I said, and you don't really find people, that are in a job going around stabbing people kind of thing, So if you give them a job, give them a future incentive. I said, crime on the street would cut down, rehabilitation, prisons, all this would cut down, because government said to me, it would be quite an expensive scheme to run. And I said, you'll be like, if you want to make money, there's a way to make money. Because
the savings elsewhere.
Rather than giving someone benefit money, like to sit at home and watch Jeremy Kyle at the time or some other thing, give them like a job allowance. I said, so, that money would go to the employer who would then put the same amount. And so all of a sudden that apprentice is getting double the money because apprentices, you're not paid enough.
There was the Kickstart scheme. I don't know if you saw that. The Kickstart scheme post-COVID, just to try and get more people into the workplace. It was a great, I really championed it. It was a way to, effectively, it was that, but then for some reason, I think it might be cut short now. It's like they go halfway to doing something good. Because I remember when that came out, I was like, hang on, I can get talent. I can find people to bring into my company, and you're going to support me with their salary. Of course, I'm going to bring more people in. So exactly.
I mean, look, you ain't got to be that clever to work it out. But unfortunately, I think Cameron and Osmond had it right, because he was nearly building up to getting 3 million apprentices on a year in work. But then when they went, it sort of, they just dropped the idea, because again, you've got to remember these prime ministers have gone to university, so they think that's the way forward. But it's not one fit for everybody kind of thing. But, today, as we talk today, the way to move forward in the economy and with youth unemployment and crime on the streets and a million other things and shortage of tradesmen is to have a government-funded apprenticeship. And I'll become mayor, I would have it in London for sure. Just to get youngsters a job. And that's a vote winner. I mean, I'm not doing it just because it's a vote winner. I'm doing it because I can see a big future in it. And you've got to remember that them youngsters would vote for you, plus their parents would vote for you. And then someone else said to me, but I think it was Vanessa Phelps was doing a TV interview about it, and she said, so you do away with the bicycle lane? She said, well, that's not a vote winner. And I said, you're right, it's not a vote winner. I said, but I'm not doing it to win votes. I'm doing it because it's messing London up. It's a knock-on effect that, as I said, they're not used 22 hours a day. Now, if that's right, then, and all this emission nonsense is nonsense, you know what I mean? And that's what Khan plays on. Whether you encourage people such as sort of NHS staff and that, and have the free passes for the London Transport Service, and things have got to be improved. But the biggest thing that I see at the moment is that London traffic is just a nightmare, and so you've got less people want to open up. And when I was talking to some people, and I said, so many businesses are closed over, and they're going to me, Oh, well, not what I'm aware of. And I think, well, you want to go around the streets and see, the cafe you used to go into, or a little factory that used to be there. And when I speak to people like that, they go, it's just like, we can't deliver no more. The charges are too much. And, undoubtedly you've got to have a transport system. You've got to be able to get around London and get London moving again. And you've got to get people into work. And the two go hand in hand. In other words, if you get people into work, then businesses will start opening up and employing people. And then the savings from so many other things. But, and then, of course, work ethics ain't that good today. You've got all this work from home nonsense, people, you know what I mean? And, my take on that, unfortunately, is that if you want to lose your job, then work from home. Because, why would you start a business and let somebody sitting there in their pajamas and kidding you up that, I've done this today and done that, and then,
Well, I've got my own thoughts on it in that I know what's best for us, my company, and it is to be together. And that's all I can say is I was one of the first companies in the country to take the company 4 days a week for 5 days pay. Because for me in PR, that worked. Friday was a quieter day. I was able to, of course, this was pre-COVID. This was 2017, 2018. And it worked for us.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll do it until it doesn't work for us. And we remain profitable. It was all financially motivated, because of course then people are talking about you. And then people, and you get clients and, all of those things. Again, I'm a PR man.
Well, what I'm trying to say, it's an unfair system. It's an unfair system. Of certain people can work from home, certain people can't. On an unfair basis, the fact that, I think it's wrong, but I also feel that, productivity overall will be down. I'm not, I've never met anyone yet who's working from home and says they're not being more productive. And I say to people, what do you think they're going to say then? That, I'm sitting out in the garden, I'm at the seaside, I'm in the pub. What do you think they're going to say? Of course they're going to tell you they're more productive. But I'm sure 10% of London, the population work from home, it's probably more productive. But overall, I don't feel it's the way forward. And I feel that, if people are working from home, if you want to lose your job, then work from home. That's my take.
I think it's a really privileged position to be in, to be able to work from home.
Of course it is.
It's horses for courses.
That's
It's
right.
not
Look,
for everybody.
You're right. It's a subject you can disagree with people all day long, but I don't believe long term it's the right move for the economy or the individual. I really don't. And people say that's because your plumbers couldn't work from home, and your office staff, the call centre you could have. And I said, but I don't want customers' personal information being in some house in Orpington. And to me, it's not the way to run a business. And people go to me, you're old fashioned, you're a dinosaur and all that nonsense. Yeah, I'm also a successful businessman that started with nothing and sold for 147 mil or something.
You mentioned that you were in hospital in Spain. Are you feeling better now?
Well, now I'm out of there. Yeah, I caught a bad infection in my arm, and I was on that many drugs and tablets in there that I definitely wasn't in the right frame of mind. And as I say, I can see how someone would be offended by it. But again, I think I'm very sort of blunt and straightforward, and maybe sometimes I need to think a bit more before because I think the upbringing I've come from, you wasn't scared to say something to somebody, and I think things have changed. So like all this woke business, we used to have a system at Pimlico that someone would come in and their reception is full of all about Pimlico, the press and celebrities and whatever, and the camera would be there quite in the open, and I might glance it down there and I'd look and I'll tell you if that person's right or wrong, because if they want to sit in the chair and they're on their phone and they ain't checking out your company, then are they what you want? And, a question I used to say to people often if I was interviewing years ago is, what do you know about Pimlico? And they go, well, I don't really know, but, my mate said this, and I think, fucking hell, then you get someone else come in and they go, oh yeah, well, I see you done this and I've seen you done that and you do this. And you think, wow, you know what I mean? So just little, that
matters. When somebody comes in, they know about your company. It matters. Exactly. It completely changes the way
I used to have youngsters come for a job and say, okay, you want to be a parent? Why? Well, my mum says it's a good job. But what do you want to do?
Yeah.
I go, well, I don't want to do nothing. Okay. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not getting the job,
kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, and I don't feel there's nothing wrong with being blunt and direct. And I think maybe I was at one time too much, because I had a geezer come in once and come twice for a job. And he had a railway line down his face, like a scar, top to bottom. I weren't feeling comfortable with him. And I'm trying to imagine I'm a customer. I said, look, I've got to be honest with you. I said, this day in your face, I said, I don't feel customers going to be comfortable with you. And he said, yeah, well, look, funny enough, he said that happened, that weren't my fault kind of thing, you know. And I said, well, you know, let's not go down that road because it ain't what we're here. I said, but I can't employ you. You know, I felt intimidated and I edged the way I said it, you know what I mean? I'd already got to where I'm coming out with it, you know. Anyhow, and he came back years later and I said to people again, just don't interview him. He's not gonna work with a customer, you know. And funny enough, when we checked out his reference, it was a fucking nightmare. They said he nicked the van, he's fighting and all this. You know, I'm not saying you could tell that, but you know, it's like if you get someone in and they're not comfortable.
Sometimes you get that intuition as well. Don't
yeah,
you? Yeah.
And
I've definitely had that where somebody's perfectly nice in an interview, but you think, you know, I just don't see it being quite right here.
Yeah, that's right. And I used to say to people like who interviewed them, you know, I'd need 1 minute to walk in the room, and then I'd say what he said to me, I didn't say, or didn't know who I was, or weren't interested. I mean, I used to do that anyhow. I'd go in, someone was interviewing somebody, like, and I was trying to, you know, come away from the interviewing. And I said, and he's had a quarter of an hour with him or something, and he said, I can't tell if he's right or wrong. I said, I'll tell you within 1 minute. I went out there, picked the phone up. I looked at him, he's got all nicotine all over his hands, got a leather coat on that didn't look right. I said to him, what, your logo? He said, yeah. He said, we run the pub up so and so. Like, oh, fucking hell, you know what I mean? You know, I said, I could smell, and I was quite close to him, I could smell the booze on him. I said, they're all things that when you're interviewing someone, you if you feel you need to, but I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, imagine him turning up at your house, like it just wouldn't be right.
You're letting somebody come into your house. That's there's a lot of trust already needed, right? So
that's exactly it.
I understand. So you just said then about, obviously appearance matters massively. You've always said that. You said, you know, about the, you know, the outfits, things like that. Obviously, with thinking about creating or starting the business next year, do you like to stay young mentally? Do you like, you know, how do you stay young?
Well, I'm busy anyhow. I mean, you know, the fact that I've just come back from Spain for 3 months and I love travelling and enjoying life and getting on with life. I'm just a busy person anyhow.
Do you think staying busy keeps you young?
Oh, undoubtedly. I mean, you know, yeah. I mean, look, I've got friends the same age as me and they can't get out of the armchair. You know, I'm saying to them things like, oh, got a party, something, or, you know, celebration. They go, oh, you know, I don't know I could make it. I don't know I could stay out after 12. But it doesn't make me right, you know what I mean? I'm just saying it's, you know, that's the way I would do it. And I said that about in the interview, you know, you often get people turn up late and they go and they make a million excuses. And if they would have just said, look, to be perfectly honest, you know, I got up late, I misjudged, I'd respect them more, but they come up with, oh, you never guess what happened. Some old granny, like, you know, looked like she was going to collapse on the tube and you know, oh, fuck off, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You know, they've always, you know, you can tell like the Monday and Friday illness, like people, when, you know, they know they're going to be ill on Friday and they start eating on a Wednesday. You know what, I ain't feeling so good. I say, oh, so you're off Friday then? No, I never said that. No, you will be. And Friday comes around and they go, God, did I come down with it? Well, that's a shock, isn't it? You know what I mean? And then the ones in the week, on the Monday, they go, yeah, I've got a lot happening next week. You know what I mean? Not looking forward to this. The wife's this, that, and the other. I said, so you're not in Monday then? No, of course I will be. Oh, you will be. But then he's already told someone else's story, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and then it gets around and then, you know, rather than just say, look, I'm not going to be here Monday, you know, rather than lie about it, I think the best way to be in business is honest and straight. But unfortunately, it does upset a lot of people. You know, it's like, you know, many times we've had to tell people at work, you know, you need to be a bit more better with the hygienic, like the BO thing. And you know, that's the way
that happens probably quite a lot, doesn't it? Like, it's a manual job, you know, you're busy, you're up and down stairs.
Well, yeah, look, the type of business we was running, clean and tidy, and you've got to be that. But the great thing by having an HR department, they seem to do it in a better way. You know, where, you know, I remember telling some, he worked for what they call the post office. He's doing their phones in their smaller building once, and the place stunk of BO, and all the staff were complaining. And I'd been out, and I come back in, and they had windows. This guy just, and he was panicking because he had put whatever he was fitting, had put an hole in the pipe, so there's water coming out of a pipe in there. He's panicking, sweating. They're all like going around with sprays. That was there, and I just said to the geezer, I said, "You got to go, mate." I said, "You stink of BO," but I didn't mean to be so, you know. But in other words, somebody had to tell him. And I just walked back in and I was saying to them, just tell the geezer to go. They said, I can't. And I said, mate, you've got to go. I said, you stink of BO. But, you know, now I get the HR to do it. The HR would say, look, you have an hygienic problem and, you know.
Yeah, they'll say it in a much nicer way.
Yeah, they do it in a different way. And, you know, look, I'm not saying I'm right, but that was in them days. And, you know, when HR rung me up or someone said about this guy and all that, he's like been on the computer, like, you know, checking out holidays and all that. So just get rid of him. It's got to go. I mean, that was their policy. You don't use it for private use. And we'd tell people that the computer systems are regularly checked, and we'd supply computers in like a little lunch area that they can get on. You know, we got rid of a few people like that, and it's quite a good way of getting rid of them. And they think they're outwitting you, kind of thing. They're clueless, you know what I mean? Absolutely clueless. I mean, say we've got someone we think ain't right, they'll just say to the computer man, check out what they've been up to, if they've been up to it. And if they've the other thing don't matter, but if they've overdone it, you just, boom, it's simple, you know what I mean? But most people like guidelines and rules. You know, most people would say to you, I'd rather wear a uniform and, you know, I'd rather have a clean van. But you got, you know, these other people that go, I remember some guy came in once, and before we made the Pimlico Bible, we had like signs up in this little reception area saying, you know, no ponytails, no earrings, no facial tattoos, can't wear shorts, can't wear trainers, got to wear the uniform. And some geezer came in, he come for an interview, and he said, he was waiting like, and so he's reading all the signs. I went out there and he said, I don't want to work here. He says, like the army. I said, you're right, you don't want to work here. You know, and you don't want them type of people. I mean, the signs frightened him, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking...
That probably works out best for both of you, doesn't it? He'll go and find somewhere where he doesn't want to work, and you don't.
I mean is we're the winner, because like he can't work for us, and he said it's like the army. He said, I don't want to work. I wouldn't work for you. Like, you're right, you wouldn't work for us. You know what I mean? You know, that's what I'm saying. So when people, you've got a set of rules, and they're not. You know, when we're talking about it like this, it sounds like you know, you're sort of like a dinosaur and old fashioned that, but the service that we was providing at the time, and the service we were going to provide, people want to feel comfortable with that person. So, you know, if that means the right uniform and the right look about someone, then, as you know, going in someone's house is a very personal thing.
Very personal. And,
you know, I mean, I've had people that come here and I'm not comfortable with them. And, you know, I say to these here, like, just them to go, you know what I mean? You know, if they come in with a silly comment or something like that, you know what I mean? And people need to learn to respect people's property, irrespective of the value of it. You know, and unfortunately, a lot of tradesmen just haven't got that about them.
You got your OBE in 2015.
Yes.
Was it 2015?
Yeah.
Proud moment?
Oh, that's one of the best achievements I've done in my life, you know, undoubtedly on that. I mean, from a business point of view, that's probably the most amazing thing, because you can't buy them. I mean, people say to me that, oh, you must have bought it and all that shit. Well, if I could have bought one, I'd have bought a knighthood, wouldn't I? You know what I mean? It's fairly obvious. But the fact to get recognised for business and for the plumbing industry, and it weren't for charity, even though I'm very charitable, it weren't about charity, it was about plumbing businesses, apprentices, and that type of thing. And I believe that I, at the time, was the only person that's ever had one for plumbing. No, unbelievable proud moment. Unbelievable. I mean... Do
you think you'll get a knighthood in your lifetime?
No, because I'm too outspoken. Evidently, the Conservatives said I'm a loose cannon.
Right.
You know, I mean, it's like...
Who said that?
The Conservatives. Whichever it come from. The message just came back because you know, I was going to run for mayor, London mayor's independent, and I said somewhere that if Conservatives had half a brain, they would have me as their candidate, you know, and I would work well with them. And someone come back with they think you're a bit of a loose cannon, and they're right, you know what I mean? I mean, I you know, but
would you like a knighthood?
Who wouldn't? How much are they?
I think there's only been a couple of people that have been publicly, you know, that have publicly said, I don't want one, haven't there? So yeah,
well,
right.
look, I say, you know, look, I love all that side of it anyhow. You know what I mean? I love
patriotic.
Yeah, and the OBE was just unexpected and amazing. I actually thought it was a wind up. You know,
how so?
Well, my daughter, I'd sort of, I'd been just going through a divorce, so any mail that was going to the house, and with my daughter and family and that, and was having some dinner or something, and so a couple of letters come for you, and this letter looked official, and I said, I'll open it later. Like I said, it's normal, you know, anyone sends me letters to taxman, you know.
Yeah.
Like, that's you know, and this had something on the government or something, and I said, it'd just be about they want money. That's all, you know. Nobody writes to me unless they want money. And she said, well, it might not be. So it sounds to me that someone might have had a nose at it, you know what I mean? No, like, I said, like, it's going to upset me now. Like, let's have dinner, like, you know, with loads of kids, grandkids were there and all that. And she said, but you don't know. So I get a feeling that someone, you know, X, Y was saying. And then I opened it and said, look, you've been put up for this OBE. You know? I was saying to her, you're fucking about, you know, Lucy. She went, what? I went, it's a wind up, isn't it? You know, I said, like, you are. She said, we're not. I said, you've got to be winding me up. She said we weren't, but I was still convinced, you know what I mean? And then, I don't know, you know, you sort of I don't know what happens, you get checked out, something like that. And you know, but initially I thought it was tax, and then I thought it was a wind up. You know, the things that stick out, you know, was when we turned over our first million. You know, I'm a great believer in the charity and putting back into things. And as a company or an individual, we do I mean, the general talk, you brought up on the basis of you shouldn't talk about what you give away. Well, that's complete bollocks. Because if you don't talk about it, I know, I'm not saying, if you ask me about charity, I'll talk about it. But if you don't talk about it, then other people don't know. And we all learn from somebody. I could proudly say in 14 months, I've given 1.1 million or something away, over £1 million. I'm so proud of that. So proud of it. And all this bollocks about you don't do this, you don't do that. People can judge you how they want to judge you, but, you know, nobody can take that away from me. And the amount of people, it's helped kind of thing. I had a phone call yesterday. We just done something for Shooting Star Hospice. And, you know, we do it every year. She was over the moon again still, you know what I mean? But I think the point I'm trying to get at here is that, you know, I don't feel there's anything wrong with saying it. I'm not going to go around shouting it, but I'm so proud that, you know...
You're in a position to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's money that's been, you know, it's like, you know, I remember somebody taught me that, you know, never be ashamed of how much you earn and how much you turn over because you've worked for it. And I think it's the same with the charity, you know, I'm a great believer that what goes around comes around. And I think that there's certain things people cannot take away from me, you know, whatever they want to think of me, I'm a very charitable guy. And
Why?
got a good name in that. What do you say, why?
Why? Yeah.
Why?
Why are you charitable?
Because I think that, you know, if you've got an opportunity to help someone that needs help and you're in a position to be able to do it, then I think it makes you feel good, first of all. And I think the second thing is, you know, coming from the upbringing I've come from, you know, when I've seen many people that need help kind of thing, you know, you can't help everybody. And I just think it makes you feel a better person. But, you know, I like the idea that someone's going to benefit from it, you know what I mean? And, you know, the new company, we're going to be supporting Shooting Star Hospice, and we're going to donate £1 every job to them. And so we're going to have their logo and that on all their vans. It will help a lot of people, you know, and I think that from a business point of view, it's a two-way street. And anybody with half a brain, I think if you look at, you can see this company is doing something for, you know, especially if you're a family person. I think it puts you in a different light kind of thing. Because I know many wealthy people I've been to charities with, and they don't spend £2 bob. And I think, you know, fucking hell, like, you know, when you're like loaded and you're not even like, you know, they don't even buy a drink. You know what I mean? And I'd be embarrassed if I hadn't done it, because everybody thinks plumbers are greedy, you know what I mean? Everybody thinks you're going to rip them off and everything like that.
Did you ever want to be well known? Like, I was going to say famous, but like, you know, do you feel famous? Do you feel...
No, I don't feel famous. I don't feel celebrity, but people say that. But there ain't nowhere you can't go without, you know, airport, don't matter where you are, you're the plumber guy. You know, coming back from Spain, you're the plumber.
Was that a purposeful thing? Because you started PR, marketing, branding, all those things. You know, it's important, right?
Yeah, very important. I mean, look, you ain't going to be successful unless you do good marketing. Now, look, again, somebody learned me, you can be the best plumbing company in the world, but if nobody don't know about you, it don't matter. So, and the word's called recognition. And if you get recognition for the right reason, then you're on a winner. PR is priceless. PR is so important in the business, you know what I mean? So the question you said to me, did I want to be well known? I don't think I set out to be like that, but then all of a sudden, you know, you do get known, you do get thing, and you think, you know, I mean, now if I go somewhere, someone don't recognise me, I'm thinking,
I think if you shaved your head, you'd get the same thing.
No. Funny enough, I see a geezer come up to me the other day. I mean, wherever you go, whatever country you're in, someone will come up to you. And like out in Spain, it's like non-stop. You know, people's coming out and I said, you know, sometimes they do think you're like Rod Stewart, but most of the time they come out and go, you're the plumber guy, can I have a picture?
You get Rod Stewart a lot, do you?
Yeah.
Do you? I guess similar hair, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, I say I don't, as the word of point, I'm not trying to gimmick Rod Stewart, he's probably living off me. But I think you've got to be different kind of thing.
Yes.
And I'm saying the more I do my hair up, the more attention you get. That's nice, but you've also got pests. You got the fucking pests come up to you. They go, yeah, you said this, you said that. I don't like this, I don't like that. So you've got to accept that. But 99% of people are pleased to meet you and they say you're a great inspiration. And I get embarrassed about it, really, because I'm saying about this new girl. We've gone out and I got introduced to her by an English guy out there, Sean, and it was like demolition, say normal guy, but doing well. And she's saying when a few people are coming up, they do when we're out. And she's going, who are you? Who are you? I'm nobody. Yeah, anyhow. So the question is, do you like getting recognised? I'd say for the right reason, yeah. But recognition, the word recognition alone, I'm not telling you guys anything because you're in PR and you know your stuff, but the word is recognition. If you can get recognised for the right reason, then you've cracked it, you know what I mean? Years ago, you wouldn't use anybody that didn't have a proper business address. They'd say, oh, look, I work from a garage. You think, well, fuck, what knew you kind of thing, you know what I mean? You wanted a proper address and I still feel that's the way forward. When like I said about tradesmen in London, how they allow tradesmen in London to go without a sign written van on, I ain't got. And how someone who is a tradesman drives around London without their name on it, I just look at them, I think, are you for real? I don't think my work ethics or ideas are wrong. I'm not saying it suits everyone. It's say different businesses.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing is, and I've always said, when I did the 4-day thing, I guess because I'm younger as well, they're like, do you want me to be this Pied Piper of the 4-day work week? And I said, I'm not going to do that for anybody but my own company. Yeah. The second that this is unprofitable or this doesn't work, I don't do it.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think that's all you can ever do is just speak for yourself.
Exactly it. I think people are brave enough to say it's working for them, but there's not many people brave enough to. I know loads of people that they've got their stuff working for them. I mean, you've got the tail wagging the dog, and they ain't got the bollocks to tell them that come in.
It's been a difficult time. It's also been a difficult time from an employment perspective. I guess you sold in 2021, so you've not seen the tail of COVID in the same way, where employees do, like for a period of time, certainly, they had the power in that relationship. Because companies will pay higher wages still for remote workers. So, somebody from my end of the world, so in Gloucestershire, they can go work 4 or 5 days a week for a London-based PR agency now, all of a sudden, and London-based salary is going to be much higher than mine. Yeah. And I'm not going to match it. No. And also, I'm saying to people I want them back in the office because I do think that for us, again, it's the best thing. But for them right now, is that going to be forever? Do you think that's that opportunity over here where they're earning 20 grand, 30 grand a year more over here working completely remotely? I don't buy that that's going to be the case forever.
Well, I don't know. This is what I would say anyhow. For me, if you want to, whoever works for me, not going to work from home. But of course, I've got guys that say to me they've got an appointment, and you're flexible. You get a little bit,
I always say life happens in and around work.
Yeah, and there's that little bit of flexibility. But we don't run our business from home. And I think what's the point of saying? So I actually believe anyone who works from home should be paid 50% less than the one coming into the office. So that's not that I'm going to have anyone working from home, but I think that pay them double. But take it off of them lazy fuckers. And they're not all lazy, but, just 90% of them. And pay this person double, right? And you see how quick they get back to work, you know what I mean? You see how quick they get back. The moment you know that you've made it is when you're in control of things. And I feel from working from home, you're not in control.
As an employer, I felt entirely out of control over the last 3 years.
There you go.
And now I feel like I'm in control.
And unfortunately, I know many people that come up with stories. They go, yeah, I do gym while I'm at home and I'm supposed to be working. They're on the machine and they're on computer or not. I don't know what they're on and that. And then I've got other people saying, I'll move this mouse around or something. And then got other people saying, I've been out all day, but they only ring me at 5 this evening. I've got, and I'm hearing these stories.
No, I've heard them all. And, if we're honest with ourselves, we've all heard people say that they get around things into, I know somebody who, does exactly that, moves the mouse around because it's monitored. I'm not saying that's everybody.
Of course, but unfortunately it's out there and it ruins it for a lot of people. But I think the point I was trying to say there was that, they're in their pajamas. And I tell you now, the claims that are going to come in from people working from home, they're going to want electricity costs. They're going to want, I've got to put an office, they're going to want them costs. They're going to start hitting you with, I've got a bad back because I ain't got the right desk. You do it at work incorrectly. I mean, they're like on the settee with their pajamas or in bed or whatever. And of course they're going to get mental health problems. Of course they're going to get bad back problems. But they're going to put that down to the company. And I feel that claims will come in left, right and centre. I mean, I think it's going to be as far as, well, I tripped over because I was going upstairs to get some of the paperwork of yours and I broke my leg. I think they're going to really hit the employer with stupid claims. But they will happen, like mental health problems and accidents. I can even see someone like, oh, well, I spilt my coffee on my own computer. They're going to want their own desk. I just feel the word is that you're not in control of your business. And I believe on that basis that I can't see how it can be successful.
What have you got left to achieve?
Blimey. Anything that's a straightforward question is complicated. What have I got left to achieve? I think I'm getting quite excited to prove that I can make it happen again. Yeah, I think that's exciting. So I think I'm trying to let everyone know that this weren't a one-off. You know what I mean? I could do it. Because people say to me all the time, they go, do you think it was easier years ago, like to run a business? Do you think this and think that? And I said, well, not necessarily. I said, because there's a lot more help now. There's a lot more people talk about success now, where before they were scared to talk about it. People are, every time I meet someone now, they're happy to tell you they think they're an entrepreneur. You know what I mean? I mean, if I go anywhere and you always say they go, hey, how's business? And I say, that's not too bad. And then the question, then you have to reverse the question. You say, how's yours? They go, oh, funny you asked me. I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Everybody's the busiest, the most successful.
That's right. And then, I meet some people and they're like, I say, what do you actually do? Like, and they go, well, I'm an entrepreneur. Okay, what do you do? And then he says, well, I fucking make and sold plate of cheese sandwiches or something, and they think they're an entrepreneur. I mean, I don't like the word entrepreneur, personally.
That's going to be my next question.
Yeah, I don't like the word entrepreneur. I think too many people can latch onto it. And I've said, I speak to people that sell a plate of cheese sandwiches, they call themselves an entrepreneur. And I've got other... No, it is.
I bet, I mean, it feels like a last 15, 20 years thing, right? I don't know, 10, 15, maybe since, I don't know, The Apprentice or something. I can't quite pinpoint when it happened, but I remember you used to be a businessman, not an entrepreneur.
That's right.
Business person, not
but
an entrepreneur.
But the businessman didn't say a lot about you, just you're a businessman. And then the word entrepreneur, people's imagination run away with it. I mean, sometimes I meet people and they go, oh, I hear you're an entrepreneur. I said, well, I run a plumbing business, a successful one. And they start, they use the word entrepreneur, and I think you obviously want to be one. There's nothing, it's like, nothing wrong with wanting to be.
It's great to be entrepreneurial.
Yes.
But
I don't think the word should be used as it's used too free. It's like, the word success, you can take that in different levels. I think that's the problem with the entrepreneur word. They want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't think they should say I am one. I mean, there's a certain line, I think, to cross before you're an entrepreneur.
I think it's because people want to succeed much, much earlier, sooner, quicker. And I think social media's got a lot, is to blame as well, because you look at that person over there, they're richer, more successful, better looking, funnier, that perception is. You think, oh, well, I want that yesterday. Rather than apprenticing yourself to a trade or to a profession and becoming good at that. And I mean, the reason I asked the question about did you want to become well known is because for me, fame should always be a byproduct of success, hard work, talent.
That's right.
All of those things.
It's a mixture.
It's because you weren't well known 5 years into running the company as you are now.
Yeah, no, of course. I mean, look. There's one thing that to be successful, or an entrepreneur, if you want to call it that. And a lot of people miss it out. They miss the word out, well, more than one word. It's called hard work. A lot of people forget that. And I think by using the word entrepreneur too early, they've just started off and and it all sounds good, you know what I mean? And I mean, you don't have to reach the top of the ladder to be successful, but you need to be on the ladder. And, undoubtedly, besides drive, enthusiasm, willpower, wanting to succeed, it don't work without the hard work, and I mean, if it did, again, I'd go back to what I always say, I'd want to be a millionaire, wouldn't I? It's been, when people hear this, hopefully, you find it that it drives you on and it's enthusiastic and, always think bigger than what you think, but also be very honest with yourself that, don't think you're going to be a footballer if you've only got one leg or things like that. You know what I mean? Don't think you're going to be an entrepreneur if you're just selling like, cheese sandwiches. There's a lot more to it. It's like having a shower with no water. You know what I mean? It ain't how it's done. But anybody that goes to work, I won't say I look up to them, but I'm sort of, I really like the idea that people that work, and it doesn't matter if you're sweeping roads or you're a big bank manager, if you're going out there and contributing something to society and being, I think that can make you proud just to go work.
Completely agree. Thank you very much for listening to your
Thank you.
I think that's a lovely way to end it. And there we have it. Charlie Mullins OBE. Thank you to Charlie. Thank you to you as a listener. Always appreciate you. Thank you for subscriptions. I was actually told this week that reviews don't help algorithmically, that it's a big myth. And I've read around it. I don't know how true it is. I mean, still keep giving lovely reviews. Thank you. They are very kind. We read them all. I was told that it was more about subscriptions. So if you listen to this and you don't subscribe, please do. Wherever you listen to it, on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, go on, give it a subscribe. It will then download automatically every Monday. We have one guest left, and it is an exciting one. It's a joyous, exuberant, positive interview coming up for the next episode. I said we would do 12 episodes. I lied. We've got one more, and then what we might end up doing is I might go through each. I might do a couple of episodes, in fact, split into like a part one and a part two, where I speak about the experience of interviewing each of the people in turn and give you some behind the scenes. It might be fun to answer some questions. If you've got any questions that you'd like me to answer, email hello@startinglinepod.com or message us on social media, at us, whatever. It's Starting Line Show, at Starting Line Show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Starting Line Podcast on Facebook and LinkedIn. Everything gets read, ask away, and I will try to get to any and all questions that do get sent my way. As I say, I think we are fairly close in the next few weeks to being wrapped up for Series 1. We've got some fantastic guests lined up for Series 2. In fact, I always toyed with not saying this. We had a guest I was supposed to be recording with on Friday that would have completely changed my initial weekend plans, at least with my friends, for the rugby. An A-list actor, somebody that you would undoubtedly know, somebody that I was incredibly excited to record with. So I hurriedly researched, I hurriedly put together a schedule. I booked flights, I booked a hotel, changed some times, and then it fell through. These things happen. I was thinking that person would be the series finale, but it wasn't to be. I've been told that it might end up happening December, January. So hopefully then when we're recording with video as well, you would get to watch that interview with that person. Honestly, incredibly excited for that one. But conversations happen all the time. I think if I can give you anything behind the scenes, the inside of running a podcast alongside also running a PR agency, is that there are at any point half a dozen conversations going on in relation to scheduling, dates, basically it's just so many balls in the air, and it's exciting. I want to bring you as many great conversations as I can with fun, successful, interesting people with a great story to tell. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I worried before putting it out, but again, just to reiterate what I said in the intro, I think it's important that we do cross the aisle, so to speak, sometimes, that we do speak to people whose thoughts, views we don't necessarily agree with, and let them make those points, let them speak, and we can then judge on merit and merit of those beliefs and thoughts, rather than just out of hand, dismiss, cancel, again, there's some air quotes there, and get upset with people that we just don't, again, out of hand like. Thank you for listening to my rambles. In fact, one of the intros I did this morning was me walking through a rainy Paris city centre. The quality was just not good enough. It really wasn't. I'm trying to put together a world-class podcast for you, for God's sake. So this is hopefully much, much better, much more listenable. Thank you. Until next week. Bye now.